Let's begin with the first session of the day, an introductory session on the state of SMEs in India. And to deliver this note, may I please call upon Dr. Arun Singh, Global Chief Economist, Dun & Bradstreet, India. And could we please welcome Dr. Singh with a big round of applause, everyone. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning again. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for that energy. I know, we have to stay here till 10 o'clock in the evening, so we need energy. And why I'm saying, because I think last few years, all of you have seen there is a really thrust, there is a strong vibe going on, in order to promote what we call the entrepreneurship in the country. We're basically talking about, the future, and all the stakeholders in the country are working together seamlessly to promote this sector. And that's what basically we gather here. And welcome all to such a wonderful, what we call the BOT 2024. And we are doing this for many years. Today, if you talk about, we have all the stakeholders in the room. We have a policy maker, we have all of you, we have a research house, we have a media, everyone basically working together to ensure that this sector are doing wonderful job. I know we have a 4-pillar, I know she touched based about 4-pillar, entrepreneurship and prosperity, self-reliance and innovation. Before we talk about, I think, there are certain things we need to understand where we stand on those 4 pillars and how we are trending, whether we are making any improvement, whether we are making any development in those areas, where we stand today, and how these 4 pillars literally going to take us forward. With that, basically I'm just going to talk about what we call what we call the state of MSMEs in India. Especially I'm just going to talk about small and medium companies. That's exactly what we can talk about. The companies who are producing good today and they are set to produce great tomorrow. They're basically going to contribute to the growth journey, what we call next 25 years, Viksit Bharat by 2047. That's not possible unless all of us come together and ensure that we are trending in that direction, not just a 5 trillion economy. We are looking for a 30 trillion economy by then. If that's the scenario, I think we got a good task in front of all of us. So let me talk about all those elements. Let me talk about how we are doing and how we basically want to trend, how we want to grow, and how basically some of the area for us to improve and for us to look at and for us to take it along. Before I move on those 4 pillars, let me talk about the current scenario. I know she touched based about employment, GDP, and what we call export. I think we are trending well. Last few years, I think this is the number floating around. When you talk about non-farm employment, we are 1/4 in terms of contribution to non-farm employment in the country. That's a good number. That's not a bad number, because there are other employment. We have a government employees, we have a large corporate. All those companies are basically contributing. But when you talk about the GDP, I think 1/3, that's a good number. 1/3 of GDP coming from this house. Of course, similarly, most of this company outside this room, but a similar nature. That's we are basically eyeing what we're going to do tomorrow. 30% of that come from this room. And good news, certainly excellent when you talk about 50% of that coming from the export side. That's a good piece. So we need more entrepreneur to export outside. Let's capture more than 50% what we're basically doing. Now, let's talk about those 4 pillars, which basically most of us today we are going to revolve around, we're going to think about, we're going to talk about. Those all the bits and pieces we basically should come together to ensure those 4 pillars are doing great job for us to grow at a significant rate. The first thing, the entrepreneurship. We speak, I think, quite often that every Indians are entrepreneurs by nature, by birth. They think about the entrepreneurship activity. So look at this chart. When we compare India with some other country, it's not very impressive number, but at the same time, it's not a disappointing number either. We are somewhere in the middle. But good news, we are better than the UK, we are better than the France, we are better than the China. This is entrepreneur's activity, which means percentage of entrepreneur we have as compared to the working age population. In a sheer size, in a quantum, it's a huge number, but because our population base is very high. But when we look at in a relative sense, that's exactly the things everyone tried to look at. We are not doing good job. We are far behind than the Croatia. Even what we try to compare with the Brazil, we are slightly lower than that. Which means we have a journey to travel. We have a journey to cover. We have a journey to basically capture. Don't look at the first Thailand, first country, but certainly we can look at our neighboring countries, let's say Brazil, and Latvia, and of course US. Look at the number. When we increase even 1% from the entrepreneur's activity, given our population base, we can increase many-fold in terms of the actual size. So something basically we should be proud of, because we are better than most of the countries, which is basically right-hand side of the chart. But we need some journey, we need to basically some improvement when we look at the left-hand side of the chart. But this is not that was not that great statistics, but the worst part, look at this chart. How many of those companies are basically creating a high impact in terms of the job creation? When I say the high impact on the job, more than 5 employees they hire for the next 5 years. We are very, very low, in fact. Look at the we are worse than the Poland. We are 8%. That's a problem actually. It's most of the companies what we talk about in the previous slide, what we say is a survivalist basically. They're just surviving, which is not great. We have entrepreneurs in the country, but they're surviving. They're just surviving. They're not able to create those jobs what required to become what we call the independent, independence and self-reliant, or what we call the Viksit Bharat. We need to do something. We need an improvement on that area, because unless we provide the job, we have some problem. So I think we have extreme left-hand countries, Slovakia, that's 38%. Let's not look at that. Maybe we can look at our immediate neighbor. We have what we call Poland, South Korea, and of course Hungary. These are the countries basically we should look at in order to first-hand improvement in terms of how we can create more jobs for these, for the people to stay relevant. And the plus point, I think journey started last 5-6 years. If you look at some of the statistics, we are doing good job. Why I'm saying we are doing good job? Because when we look at some of the new company formation in the country, when we form the new companies, the new MSMEs, new entrepreneurs coming in, new startups coming in, they're not just formed in the tier 1 cities. Look at the tier 3 cities. Tier 3 cities, the number of companies formation in the tier 3 cities have gone up. It used to be 37% out of total 100 company formed in a year. 37 used to be the tier 3, but that number is now 52%. More than half of the companies are formed in the social, what we call the tier 3 sector, which means they are trying to make everyone socially inclusive. So they are trying to reach out to the masses to capture where the talent lies, where the labor pool is there, where the resources there, where the support available, where the government support is there, where the policy, where the growth. There is a growth happening in the tier 3 cities everyone's aware of, and that's the formation happening. Because more and more companies trying to capture the untapped market, you have a potential to grow, you have a potential to hire, you have potential to contribute to the GDP, to export, to employment, everything basically. But that's things happening. Post-pandemic things have revived. The tier 2 remain the same, but the most of the company who are not forming in the tier 1, it's forming the tier 3. The startups, new startups when we talk about, I think 2017, 122 districts we had where we had at least one startup, recognized startup. Today, we have a more than 600, close to 700 districts in the country where we have at least one startups. So that's the things is changing. That's entrepreneurship. It's shifting, not just coming and forming as a survivalist entities, coming as a sustainable startups, coming as a the company which basically trying to take a country and a sector to the next level. That's things changing on the entrepreneurship activity. Now coming to the prosperity, when we talk about the prosperity, the first things coming, the money, comes from the fund, coming to basically how the sustainable things looking like, how you're going to survive, how you're basically going to take care of a company from a day-to-day operation to the expansion, to the investment, to the, to a product launch. The problem what's happening today, the companies are not seeking the fund. They're not going to the, let's say, talk about venture, what you call the public offerings, angel investor, venture, private. Of course, when you talk about the public offerings, everyone talking about it's very costly. That's why we never go to list our IPOs and other things. But even the bank loan, that's the problem. The small entity, that's the right-hand side, that's probably the blue line. More and more company not seeking fund. They're not seeking money. Whereas some of the mid-sized company, in fact, they're better off, they're placed off, they're looking, in order to look for more money to grow. But that's a problem. Where is the money? But the problem is a different side as well. I think as a policy maker, as the other stakeholder, we need to think about that part. Whatever company are basically looking for the loan or go to fund market to look for the fund, the 28% of those companies face the rejection, loan rejection rate. Multiple reasons, we all know, multiple reasons, both sides, bank side, company side, and documentation issues, multiple things. I'm just comparing India with some of the rapid reformers countries. These rapid reformers countries started the journey same time when India started. We look at where they achieved. When we talk about the Hungary, they are just 1% loan rejection rate as against us 28%. So one side, the companies are not looking for the fund. Probably one of the reason could be they know that their loan application will get rejected, and that's basically they're trying to build that. Let me not go to the organized market for the fund. Let me look at the unorganized market where they are willing to pay 3 times, 4 times of the normal interest rate. And that's basically cost of running business. When you're talking about the prosperity, when talking about the sustainability, things are not going to revive, things are not going to work around. But the silver lining, but the good thing is the things are basically changing. When you talk about the cost of running business for India, we are somewhere in the middle. We are better than what we call the rapid reformers. Other cost of total state for the India is close to 9% as against 13% for the rapid reformers. So we are better off on one parameter at least. Recovery rate, the bank will find more, inclination to the lend, or the rejection rate might come down because recovery rate has been improved. Now 0.72 cents we are able to recover. 72% of the amount lent are able to recover. And the duration is also now lower, which is just 1.5 years. That's how basically. So some of the parameters are not looking good, but look at the other side, which is enabler, they are looking good. Which means going forward, I think when everything's working together, policymakers, bankers, companies, researchers, when all of us come together, these things will just improve, which means 28% certainly come down to the rapid reformers level. Now, when we talk about the modernization and innovation, the third pillar of the today's session, the share of patent filed by MSMEs is not great. The innovation we talk about, the first-hand innovation, either the product innovation or process innovation, whatever we call about, or the business model innovation, whatever we call about, unfortunately, 5 years back, we just 2%. The good news, I think that data got to the 5% and more than double, which is great. But still, there is a scope, still there is a basically improvement we are expecting. And mid-sized company, when you talk about, I think they are doing good job in terms of the product innovation, and then 8.8% of the company, they basically come short of the product innovation. And that product innovation, either there is already market or they are creating a market, and that's good piece. Whereas 8.8% is enough? Certainly not. I think we can look for the better number. But 8.8% is not bad either, where basically we are somewhere in the middle. Not great, but I think we have covered some journey. But the good, what basically we should be worrying about is not just the product innovation. We should also thinking about the process innovation, because that's bringing on efficiency and productivity in the system. Unless we bring those productivity and efficiency in the system, the innovation doesn't add any value. So the process innovation, I think the mid-sized company are doing good job in terms of the product. They need to also doing good job in terms of process innovation, because we are talking about the enterprise of the tomorrow. These are the company going to take country into the Viksit Bharat mode. Now moving on, another modernization or innovation when we talk about the platform-based business. Today when I talk about the globally, 4 out of 5 company in terms of the market size, with the big market size, from a top to bottom, 80% of those companies are the platform-based business model. The innovation itself is shifting towards the platform side, shifting to the different trajectory. Innovation itself is taking a different shape. And that's the nature of the innovation. We are not talking about the innovation what used to happen 10 years back or 20 years back. The innovation is shifting differently. We talk about customer acquisition, right? It used to take 10 years to acquire 100 customer or 1 million customer. Today, it takes just 1 or 2 days to acquire 1 million, 2 million customer. We know the Facebook, Twitter and all these companies are basically giving examples. So those innovation we're talking about, the shifting. When I take a revenue of the platform-based or subscription-based economy or the S&P 500 company, the subscription-based companies who are producing more revenue than the S&P 500. Both here, pre-pandemic and the post-pandemic. The subscription-based company are giving a more revenue, which means look at the innovation, where the revenue, where the growth, and we are talking about next 25 years. Now last pillar, self-reliance. 25 years from now, 231 million jobs needs to be created for us to make Viksit Bharat. Or the GDP growth, whatever we are talking about, to reach it to that level. The third largest, whatever economy basically we're talking about, 231 million million jobs needs to be created. Today, I think these enterprises have a potential or ability to absorb most of them. When I basically look for the number, the micro, even the very, very small or tiny enterprise, they have a potential to absorb 116 million out of 231. And the next small, 43 million, and the medium size, I think most of us will be in the room, will be 22 million companies. And the rest could be other piece. Now, that's the piece we're talking about when we want to make a country as a self-reliant. We need to be self-reliant in terms of creating those high jobs. Remember the first couple of slides when talking about the jobs being not created by us, but the potential is changing. Things are changing. We are talking about the innovation. We are talking about the financial inclusion. We are talking about the growth. We are talking about the efficiency. Things is changing currently. And going forward next 25 years, the majority of the job, 231, what we're talking about, will be absorbed by all of us which are in the room. So let me summarize all of the point. 1, 4, of course, we are talking about, 4 pillar is going to take BOT to the different level, different trajectory. 1, entrepreneurship. It's no doubt we are doing great job and we are doing wonderful in terms of entrepreneurship activity, because we all know that every Indians are entrepreneur. The thing is that we need to provide a jobs for, from just survival entities. We need to be more of a sustainable, more of a productive, more of efficient companies. Otherwise, entrepreneurship activity will become just the name shake, just the term. That's it. And second is the prosperity. I think things are changing. We need to be sustainable. I know there are high loan rejection rate. There are companies not seeking for the fund, but I think there is advantage. We in a fintech, we have many things. The cost have gone down, or other things. let's look for those fund when we basically trying to grow with this money and make those productive use of those money to become a sustainability. The modernization, I think, is not just about the product innovation. It's also about the process innovation. It's also about the business model innovation. Because when we just talk about the product, you're catering to the one part of the segment, just one part of the segment. But when you talk about the process innovation, probably you address everything into the country, everything in the system. And the last, the self-reliance. Think about those elements, that how we can create more jobs in the country. So with that, I'll close my presentation. Thank you for listening and looking forward for a wonderful session today. I know we have a packed agenda. Thank you.